The year is 1400. This is the North American continent, a vast, endless expanse of The Haudenosaunee, often mistakenly called the Iroquois, built a complex and enduring society. Deep within the birch groves, the hunters move as silently as the falling snow.
The intricate patterns of the wampum belt served not merely as decoration, but as a living record of treaties.
Here, on the vast expanse of the Great Plains, the bison herds once stretched for miles. Here we see the magnificent city of Cahokia, a sprawling metropolis that dominated the ancient American landscape. High in these canyon walls, generations lived in these stone structures, a testament to their resilience in this arid landscape.
Here, maize, or corn, is ground into flour on a stone metat.
Laden with furs, these birch bark canoes navigated the mighty Mississippi, evidence of a sophisticated commerce that long predated European arrival. And so we close the pre-contact sequence, gazing upon the ocean that for so long separated these two worlds. 1492. Three small Spanish ships, the Niña, Pinta, and Santa Maria. The weeks of anxious searching finally came to an end on the morning of October 12, 1492.
Land, by God, land!
The landing at San Salvador marked a pivotal moment. It was, for many, the beginning of the end for the Old World.
From the shadows of the jungle, the indigenous Taíno observed the arrival of the Spanish. They were perplexed by these. Here, in the unforgiving glare of the colonial sun, the noble pursuit of discovery was swiftly overshadowed by. The coastline of North America slowly took shape, pushing the boundaries of the known world and causing terror. By the time the supply ship returned, the settlement was deserted. All that remained was a solitary post.
The Godspeed, barely seaworthy, was caught in the tempest. The terrified settlers, many already.
The early days of the Jamestown colony were defined by unimaginable hardship. Dysentery and malaria swept
The crop that would save the colony and curse it with slavery, closing the early settlement sequence. The year is 1620. Having drifted north, the Mayflower finally reached Plymouth Bay.
Fleeing religious persecution, the Pilgrims waded ashore through the freezing surf, reaching the sanctuary of Plymouth Rock.
The foundation of their new society was forged in these debates.
The scripture demands purity in the covenant.
This historic gathering in 1621 marked a pivotal moment. The 50 remaining colonists.
Adapting to this new world was paramount. Here, the settlers employ a crucial lesson, using the.
In 1630, the Arbella led the fleet into Boston Harbor. 1,000 souls.
In the bustling squares of Boston, the Crown's authority goes absolute. Hear ye! Hear ye!
As the light of Reformation spread, so too did the printed word, intertwining the sacred text with the rise of widespread literacy. With the growing demand for furs in Europe, the North American wilderness became a new frontier in the great game of empire and economy.
As the 17th century drew to a close, these isolated fishing villages represented the imperial drift south to the Carolinas and Virginia in the mid-1600s. Vast plantations stretching out, a different economy based on agriculture. In August of 1619, a Dutch man of war arrived, carrying the first enslaved Africans to this new.
Under the unforgiving colonial sun, the laborers toiled side by side, bound together by the harvest of the lucrative tobacco crop.
A testament to the age, the plantation house rose from the red earth, fertilized by the sweat and toil of those who worked the fields beyond.
By the late 18th century, Charleston Harbor was a bustling hub of commerce. Rice and indigo flowed out.
The founding of Pennsylvania was indeed a holy experiment, secured not by force, but by
orders. William Penn's vision for Philadelphia was one of order and tranquility. The grid system ensured clarity.
It was a time of burgeoning ideas, and Philadelphia was its heart. Young Franklin knew that to spread these truths, the arduous journey along the Great Wagon Road saw thousands of German and Scots-Irish immigrants push deeper into the American backcountry. By 1700, the 13 colonies were a fragile foothold on a vast continent, hemmed in by the restless... The Ohio River Valley, a vast wilderness contested by two great powers. It was here in ambitious and fiercely loyal, the young Virginian meticulously surveyed the vast wilderness in the name of the crown. The bright scarlet of the redcoat uniform made them conspicuous targets. They were, in essence, complete...
The French and their native allies employed brutal, unconventional tactics. This ambush near the lakeshore...
The war news spread like wildfire, sparking fear across the colonies.
But what if the French press further south? We are not prepared.
The Treaty of Paris secured British supremacy in North America, expelling France from the continent. But
The enforcement of the Stamp Act led to heated confrontations.
The payment is mandatory.
We will not submit to this unlawful tax.
This act of defiance, committed on December 16, 1773, marked a turning point in the struggle for independence.
It was up to Revere to warn the militias. He spurred his horse onward through the night.
The regulars are coming! The regulars are coming!
It was April 19, 1775. On this small green in Lexington.
The march up Breed's Hill was met with a devastating barrage of musket fire. While the redoubt was eventually taken,
In the sweltering summer of 1776, in this very room,
in this hallowed chamber, amidst solemn silence, they cast their votes. An act not just of defiance.
The great bell tolled, a summons echoing through the cobbled streets, calling the citizens of Philadelphia.
The winter of 1777 was a crucible. These brave souls endured.
Franklin knew the alliance required a delicate touch.
A loan to America, your grace, is insurance for French trade.
Indeed.
Trapped by the formidable French Navy and facing overwhelming odds, the British troops battered and... As the sword was reluctantly surrendered, the British band famously played "The World Turned Upside Down." He surrendered his sword to the Congress, an act unprecedented in history. I here offer my... And so, on that fateful night, the 13 colonies, now united and free, celebrated the...
drifting west from the Appalachians, the landscape opens into the immense territory of the Louisiana Purchase.
Look there, Captain. The passage west.
Ahead lay the formidable Rockies, a sight that both thrilled and daunted the corps of discovery. Day after day, the wagons pushed westward. The dust of the trail coated everything.
For the pioneer woman, the day's labor was never truly done. Even at dusk, the demand...
By the 1850s, the lower Mississippi was the central artery of the Confederacy, a testament to the raw power of King Cotton. The cotton gin's efficiency increased dramatically, unintentionally cementing the institution of slavery deeper into the fabric of the South.
This was the final assault. Outnumbered and surrounded, the Texian defenders faced impossible odds.
It was moments like these that fueled the legend, the instant fortune that drew thousands west. A single pan could change everything.
This was San Francisco in the grip of the gold rush, a city quite literally being built overnight by men driven by equal parts greed and hope.
The telegraph lines marched westward, bridging the vast plains and finally ending the isolation of the frontier.
The storm clouds gathered ominously over the Mason-Dixon line, threatening to tear the young nation apart over the issue of slavery.
The great debates of 1858 centered on a nation tearing itself apart. I say that...
At 4:30 a.m. on April 12, 1861, the bombardment of Fort Sumter began.
For many, the tintype served as a final, fleeting glimpse of home before the inevitable horrors of the charge.
The fighting in the Miller cornfield was characterized by a savage, almost primal brutality. Neither side.
With this stroke of the pen, President Lincoln ensured that the Union cause was now unequivocally the cause of freedom.
With every step on that dusty road, the men of the 54th proudly carried the weight of a nation's conscience, fighting for a freedom they knew was their right.
The handshake at Appomattox signaled the war's end. Yet, as the generals stood in silence, the profound... And so the train carried the fallen president home. A grieving nation watched. It was here, on the 10th of May, 1869, that the final spike was driven, uniting the continent.
The driving of the Golden Spike at Promontory Summit marked the culmination of a monumental effort, finally uniting the vast American continent by rail.
Here, stretching to the horizon, were the great herds of bison, a seemingly endless resource.
For the American cowboy, the trail drive was a grueling test of endurance, moving thousands of longhorns across unforgiving terrain. This was the heart of the boom town, a place where fortunes were won and lost with the turn of a card, and the Lakota sought peace, but the relentless tide of settlers proved impossible to stop.
They take our...
The aftermath was clear, a decisive victory for the Lakota and Cheyenne. But as the winds...
For these brave homesteaders, the soddy was more than just a house. It was a testament to their resilience.
The crack of the signal gun unleashed a torrent. This was the Oklahoma land rush, the final chapter in the...
The plains, once open and wild, were now meticulously surveyed and fenced. The era of the open range was over.
By the late 19th century, Pittsburgh was the undisputed heart of the industrial world. The steel mills ran day and night. This was the heart of the operation. Molten iron becoming steel, the foundation upon which modern America would be built.
The darkness of the laboratory was suddenly banished by the steady, unwavering glow of Edison's remarkable invention.
Here, in this very room, Bell's invention finally succeeded, effectively shrinking the world and connecting mankind across vast distances.
By 1910, 1 in every 10 New Yorkers toiled in the garment industry. These factories, often hazardous.
In 1885, the colossal statue, still gleaming in its raw copper, began to rise.
For many, the sight of Lady Liberty was the first true sign of a new beginning, a beacon of hope after weeks at sea. For many, the final hurdle was the medical inspection. Doctors searched for any sign of contagious disease.
For the privileged few in Newport, the Gilded Age was a dazzling display of opulence, built on the backs of the many who served them.
Chicago, at the dawn of the 20th century, was a city quite literally reaching for the skies.
This desolate stretch of North Carolina coastline, known as Kitty Hawk, was in 1903.
Let go!
Ford's innovation transformed manufacturing. The synchronized movement of men and machinery heralded a new industrial age.
The suffragettes marched with unwavering determination.
Votes for women! We will be heard!
The sheer scale of the Culebra Cut required an unprecedented mobilization of machinery. This was America.
The flickering images on the screen offered a new kind of magic. It was here. They called it the war to end all wars, but for these men boarding in 1917, it marked only the beginning of the end of their innocence.
This was the very heart of the boom. Every day it seemed the market climbed higher, driven by a frenzy that many believed would never end. This was New York in the 20s, a modern superpower, fully formed and dazzlingly illuminated for all the world to see.
The winter of 1933 saw unemployment reach staggering levels, yet far from the urban centers.
Against the backdrop of the Depression, the president sought to reassure the American people.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. These women were the backbone of the war effort, the true arsenal of democracy, working tirelessly to supply the front lines.
Here, on this desolate rock, the true cost of global leadership was paid in blood and sacrifice.
This was the zenith of the suburban experiment, a meticulously managed slice of paradise where
it was here, in the shadow of the great emancipator, that he delivered his defining address.
The Apollo 11 mission, seen here in stunning clarity, represented the pinnacle of human endeavor as it set course for the moon.
As the camera drifts slowly across the Sea of Tranquility, we see the boot print, and beyond it, the flag, standing. Behold, the microscopic landscape of the modern age. These circuits, though small,
as we look down upon the Republic in 2026, the scale of the achievement is clear.